Now, the next bucket is social proof. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that's a third party sort of verification that what you say about your book is true, that it's a good book, people will like it, they should invest their $5 and their time to read this thing, right? That's the idea. So there's different ways you can do that. The first is just, the most common, seeking reviews from your customers, and that's hard. A lot of people are challenged. I'm challenged with that. I have gotten a number of reviews over the years. I currently have, I think, 41 for this one and 28 for this one. And I think this one just came out 6 months ago, but I have 14. So, it's taken me a long time to get those reviews. There's different ways to do that. One of the ways I like to do is giveaway. I do a lot of book giveaways. So you can do things like take a picture. You can order a whole bunch of books, like author copies, to give away. And before you give them away, when they first come in, you spread them out randomly on a table, stack them up, make them look interesting. Take a picture and then post it on your website. Put links out to your social media and ask people to guess the number of books. If the first person that gets it right, you'll mail them a free copy. Now, if you're smart, you'll do it U.S. only, unless you want to pay to ship it to, Australia or something, right? So you can do that, or you can do an ebook, and you could give them a free digital copy, and then that could be worldwide, whatever you want to do. So that's one fun way to do book giveaways. That's really interesting. I've done that, and sometimes it takes them a couple of days, and people will tell you, oh man, I blew it out on this giant poster board, and I was counting them all down. So that can be a lot of fun, and so that's kind of a neat way to do it. You can just find, like I talked about earlier, you're looking for like consumers, like in my case, colleges, and so I try to find the college department at each one that handled resources for professors, and I had to get their name and address, and so you ship out. That's one way to do giveaways. And in all these things at the bottom, and this cannot be quid pro quo. Be very careful. When you give somebody a free book, you cannot say, I'm giving you this in exchange for an honest review. You cannot do that. You'll violate Amazon's terms of service. And if they find out, they'll kick you off of Amazon. There go all your sales. So don't do that. But it is allowed, my understanding, that you can say, hey, if you like the book, I would appreciate if you would consider leaving an honest review. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's not quid pro quo. You're just merely suggesting, hey, I'd appreciate if you do give an honest review.
I've done free copies of books, and I write a review, and it goes on Amazon. And my last sentence is, I was given a free copy of this book in order to give a fair assessment, critique.
Right.
And that's what goes in there.
I think that used to be required. I don't know if it's still required. Is it still required?
Guidelines.
Okay.
And the guidelines you get to the FAQ, and from there you get to the terms of service FAQ.
Okay.
That
So that's
actually
still-
says
Now, if I buy the ebook,
specifically
then I don't have to do that.
Right, because it's a verified purchase.
It's verified purchase.
Right.
But sometimes I get an advance copy.
Yep.
So that the testimony goes out the same day.
Right.
The book is released.
Exactly.
And that way you can't really get one turnaround, and it's just logistically almost impossible.
Right.
To do that.
Right.
But Amazon does have a guidance phrase for your readers.
Yep.
It's basically the same thing, but if you're concerned about it at all,
Yeah.
I would go find
I've
out.
used that too, that phrase. That's helpful. So that's one thing is I do a lot of book giveaways. I've given away, I gave probably 200 books away in the first 6 months of this one. And what I found is, yeah, I know that was a big part of the reason I spent all this money. That was part of the marketing I spent.
All deductible.
Yeah, that's true. All deductible. I had a really good tax deduction that year, that's for sure. So anyway, one of the things I do, I like to give away a lot of books. I do both print book and ebook. You can do ebook, digital copies, and that's free. So that's another option. But a lot of people like paperbacks. So, especially my books are nonfiction. So that I sell more print books than I do, way more. Like I would say 30%, between 30 and 40% of all my sales over the last couple of years are ebooks, but that may be totally different if you're writing fiction, right? But for me, 60% or more is still print books of my sales. So I like to give away a lot of print books too, because that's what my readers tend to like. And also be careful about giving away to friends and family. Nothing wrong with that. I did it. But if your friends and family don't read your genre, some people speculate because nobody really knows. But there's this, mysterious algorithm that Amazon uses when they display your book in front of users. And if you give your book to your sister, your mom, your neighbor, and they don't normally read your type of books, it may screw up your algorithm such that Amazon is now thinking, okay, these are the type of people I should show your book to when they search for books like yours. But in reality, they're not really interested. They don't really buy books like mine. They just have mine and left a review. Does that make sense? So the idea is you'd rather, it's smarter perhaps, again, nobody knows the algorithm, but if it makes sense to me that if you give your books more away to your target audience and they leave a review, it's more likely to not mess up your algorithm so that Amazon keeps showing your books to the right type of readership, and then you're more likely to get more sales. And it's just snowballs, right? The higher your ranking on Amazon, the more sales you get, the more often they show your books. So if I have a period where my book sales really slump and my rankings are really low, it just hurts my everything, like sales, because they're not showing my book to as many people. And vice versa. If I have a really good week or month that some of these books are popular in certain months, then Amazon seems to show my book more and I sell a lot more. So it's just sort of circular. The whole thing is all connected. But book reviews, there's other ways to get reviews. You can buy a package. So BookBub is probably the most famous one. It's hard to get in. They only pick like 20% of all the people that apply. It's very expensive, like $1,000 for a package. I've been trying off and on for a couple of years, and it's not easy to get picked. But the idea is you're not paying for reviews. You're paying to put your book out onto their email list. They might have 1 million people in your genre, and you pay a certain fee, and they have to discount the price, $2.99 or less, and then hopefully, ideally, a certain number of all those people will end up buying your discounted ebook and then leaving reviews. So it's not guaranteed, but you're paying for access to their email list. That's really what you're paying for, not paying for reviews. But they expect, not guarantee, a certain number of views. So BookBub is famous. There's another one I use that's a lot easier because that pretty much take most genres. It's called selfpublishingreview.com. And selfpublishingreview.com, SPR for short, they offer a package. The cheapest package is approximately $350, and you'll pay for that. It's the same thing. You get access to their email. They'll blast it out in email. Say, here's a discount, ebook. Buy it if you want, and then you can expect a certain number of views. They don't guarantee it, but they suggest between 7 and 10 reviews is what you'll end up getting for that $350 package. You can pay more and expect to get more reviews. But that's one way to do it. I like doing that right when the book comes out because you want a lot of reviews. The more reviews, the more social proof, and the more likely you're going to get more sales. You can add at the very back. I just started doing this with my latest book. So at the end of the book, after you say the end, you can put a call to action in there. Say, hey, did you enjoy the book? Well, here's something you can do for me to help me find more readers. You can please leave an honest review. And then what I did was I published the book, then I went and grabbed the actual page, the URL that takes you to the page where you leave the review, and then I take that and I edit the book files for the ebook and for the print book, and I publish the revised file. Now people can simply click on the link if they're in the ebook, or if they're in the print book, at least spell out, and so they can just type it in if they want. The easier you make it on your reader to leave a review, the more likely they will leave a review. So that's something I recommend. Definitely want to put some in the back matter. And for that matter, I have 2 things in my call to action. I ask for an honest review, and then I ask people to join my readers list on my website. So it's all on the very page right after the end. Now, some people I've heard put that at the beginning of the book because sometimes they get busy or they lose interest and they don't ever get to the back of the book. So another strategy is to put that call to action at the beginning of the book, and then hopefully they'll read it before they get into it and they'll do whatever. But honestly, are you going to leave a review before you've read a book? I mean, it makes more sense to me to put it at the end just because it's fresh on their mind, and they hopefully they got to the end of the book. They must have liked it, maybe, But a lot of people just give up halfway if they don't like it. So anyway.
Have you extracted your reviews and put them back into your physical books?
I have not, but that's another wonderful strategy. Thank you, Red. Have you done that? I haven't tried that
No,
yet.
I have about 15 that I want to call some of them, and I need to update the cover for my number one
Yep.
Amazon sale author thing.
Yeah.
And I was going to put some of those in there in order to reflect the content that I get back on the reviews.
I've seen that. I've seen where people get blurbs and they go back and put them inside the book,
So I
not
need to
just on the
redo I
outside.
need to redo the cover anyway.
Yep.
I might as well update the content.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I like that. So that other way to get reviews is you can actually, well, not customer reviews, but editorial reviews. And the traditional publishers do this. This is a very common strategy where they'll go out to Kirkus or Clarion or Blue Ink and they'll pay, $300, $400, well, typically $400 to $700, depending on how fast you want it. And they'll leave a review and they'll put it on their websites. And if you want to be in libraries, you definitely got to be in Kirkus. I've gone to my local library and said, hey, do you have my book? And the first thing they asked was your book reviewed by Kirkus? I said, no, couldn't really afford that, so I used a different reviewer. But they said, sorry, that's where we buy our books for our collection. We go to Kirkus because they look at the catalogs, they know it's been reviewed by a professional. So that is one strategy, and again, a lot of traditional publishers do it. It's a little bit controversial because people who don't understand the process think you're paying for a positive review, but you're not. Here's what happens. You have no control over the words or what they say, and if they don't like it, if you don't like the review that they wrote, your only option is to not have it published. You still have to pay, but they may hate your book. They may say, oh, this is chock full of typos. It's a story, I'm lost, the characters make no sense, and they may just blast it, in which case your only option, you still have to pay for it in full up front. They got your money, so you're kind of stuck, but your only option is to not have it published, and then no one will ever see it. But,
In a weird way, that's good. I don't know if the other ones do, but I know Kirkus won't publish if it's a man.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Some of them will work with you. Some will work with you and say, hey, could you go back and get it edited because there's just too many typos, and then, they'll work with you. But that's another thing. Some will, some probably won't. I use this other guy, Publishers Daily Reviews. Don Sloan was the owner. I think he was recently trying to sell it, so I don't know if he's still the owner. But he was very reasonable. It's like $100, and it takes less than a week. Whereas the other guys, Kirkus and Clarion, 2 to 3 months normally, or you can pay a higher fee and get it done in like 6 to 8 weeks. So this is only $100 versus $400 to $700, and you get it done in a week. And he buys one of your books, so it's I don't know that it matters because you don't put it in the customer reviews. It goes in its own section. So if you look on an Amazon listing, there's customer reviews at the bottom, and then in the own section next to the description below that is editorial review section, and that's where you upload, not the customer. You go and upload it on your Amazon, your Author Central page, and you'll upload the review or parts of it. You don't have to do the whole review if you don't want. But you'll either grab all of it or parts of it, and you post it up there, and it'll show it under editorial reviews, not customer reviews. So you're not paying for them to say whatever you want them to say. You're just paying for an honest review, and if it's published and you choose to, you can put it on your Amazon page. So that's another way to get social proof. Blurbs are another popular way. I have not done this just because I didn't know any famous people or experts in my field. But I think it's a wonderful strategy. A lot of people swear by it. If you're going to do it, my understanding is you want to reach out to them and say, hey, I follow you on social media or however you know them. Explain you're a big fan. You're coming out with a new book and you would love to get their blurb. And to make it easier on them, you want to come up with maybe a half dozen of your own written blurb quotes and give them one to choose from, or they can modify if they want. The easier you can make it for them, the better. And so you can offer a free copy or whatever they want. But the idea is you just want to find someone who's either, a celebrity, well-known, maybe an expert in your field if it's nonfiction. That's the idea. And then hopefully you get a couple of blurbs that you can add. And that always looks good on the back cover of your book if you have blurbs. That's a good place to put it. Or inside the cover, wherever. Another thing is book awards. I'm a big fan of book awards. What I've noticed is many of the books on Amazon fall under one or two categories. They're either award-winning books or they're best-selling books. And there's nothing wrong with either strategy. Some people do both. I just like the ease of doing book awards. Now, the thing about book awards is not guaranteed, right? So for my first book, and don't do this, folks, part of my $7,000 was I entered 10 contests because I want to make sure at least I won one. But that's all it takes. If you win one, you're award-winning, and you can market yourself that way, right? And I didn't know if anybody would like my first book. I had no clue. I won 3 awards, which was helpful. And some of those, none of the ones I won came with a cash prize. So I'm just as broke as I was before. But I can now call it award-winning. And the other nicety is some of them do like Twitter campaigns, and they do it throughout the year. Congratulations to Mike Coas for engaging college students. It won the category for higher education. So that's another thing. If you're going to do book awards, shop around. There is a website link that you can check. If it's not in this handout, I can get it to you later. Just email me. But there is a link where you can check for the ratings of different book awards because some are frankly just nils or scams. Oh, there it is. Yes, it is in yellow right there. Thank you. So if you follow this link, you can check out the background of these. And you can also do a Google search for whatever particular award, see if it's a legitimate. Some of these are scams, more or less. But when you're looking for book awards, you check that out first. The second thing you check for is how many categories that they offer. Some only have like 7 categories and that's it. 6 are fiction, 1's nonfiction. So I'm thinking, wait a minute. I've got a book about college teaching tips. How's that going to compare to someone that escaped from Nazi Germany, and they're telling their life story? I'm not going to win that award, right? Let's be honest. So instead, you find other book awards that have like 50 or 70 categories, and the more specific the niche, the more likely you are, the higher chances you'll win the award. So that's what I've done with all 3 of my books, and I've won awards for all of these. And so I'm very happy for that strategy. And again, once you win, you can update your ad in Amazon, list it as award-winning, and even list the name of the award down below if you want. That's what I do with all mine. That's one strategy. Nothing wrong with that. It gives social proof. Some third party looked at it and liked it. Another strategy is do bestseller. So it's a popular selling book. People assume that it's must be good. And there's nothing wrong with that. That strategy involves a lot of times, and I haven't done this myself, but I have other author friends, and Red's probably done this, where basically you start a launch team, a street team they used to call it, and you try to get people who are willing to take your advanced reader copies, read it, and then on the day that it's launched, then they upload their reviews. You get a bunch of reviews up front, and if you can get a bunch of, if you list at 99 cents, that's another great strategy. On the first day, you get a bunch of sales, and then if you get a bunch of sales in a short period of time, you're more likely to be bestseller. And then once you're a bestseller, you're always a bestseller. It's not that you have to be bestseller forever. You can advertise this best-selling book. Now, a lot of people that, question?
Yeah. You have to be bestseller for 1 day.
Yeah, for 1 day. There you go. And my permanent 1 hour, I think it's by 1 hour.
When you look at the way it goes, like I was 30 and I was 22 and I was 17 and I was 11, I was down 4 and then 3. It literally,
Just find that one.
you have to find the one.
Yeah.
And update. If you call them, which I did, I said, how do I find out that I actually went to #1? They have no records of anything on that. So unless you take a page,
Print screen. Yeah.
that's the only way that you can prove it.
Right.
Because they keep no records on that whatsoever.
Yep. So that's a wonderful tool that people use to get a bunch of sales. My perma-free book was a bestseller, even though it still is free. It got like 39 downloads in 1 day. And if you look at bestseller, there's a top paid list and there's a top free list. So mine was top, and I grabbed the screenshot so I could, if I wanted to, I could advertise as bestseller. But to me, it's confusing because it's a free book. So people say, how can it be a bestseller? So I don't even advertise it that way, and it's for free, and I'm getting lots of downloads still. So I don't. But it's a great strategy.
It's a 99-cent book. You can buy 10 or 20 or 30 of them.
Yeah.
And they will send you an email list with the link, so you send it to whoever you want.
Oh, okay.
You have the option of buying it for others.
Oh, I
So
see.
it becomes a gift that you send to somebody.
Right.
You've paid for it. It becomes a sale
Awesome.
in 1 day.
Yeah.
And then you're sending it to your email list or to
Right.
friends and family or whoever.
Right.
It doesn't matter because the book is already paid for. You get
Right.
credit for that many sales in that day.
Right.
And all you do is just gift it out.
Yeah, so that's a great way to get social proof. And as we've talked about, it's not that difficult. It's much more difficult to be like a bestseller on USA Today or New York Times. But one of those lists actually takes physical book copies sold in stores, perhaps thousands, in a week. And they do it on a week-by-week basis. So that's a whole different, game plan to do that. But these are all different ways to get, social proof.